Hey there, sweet friends. I hope you are all well. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new. It's day 10 of our 13 Days of Halloween series. Here, if you're just joining in, you can find a link for the first 9 days at the top of the description so you can get caught up. And don't forget to listen throughout the video for the question of the day. For today's project, we are creating my version of clean and simple cards, and I like to call them sweet and simple. Now, they do have a fair bit of layering, but I'm leaving out the spacers and all the dimensional embellishments that I would usually add. And I'm still going to get tons of detail. And these are absolutely perfect way to go through the offcuts from your other projects and also those sticker sheets. So if that sounds good to you, then stick around and we will make them together. For my first card, I'm going to be using the Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Scary Stories collection. And I'm also going to be utilizing that sticker sheet for this large sentiment. And so I'm going to use that on top as a focal image. Here's my A2 size card, and I have these prepared to be top folding. And I really do like to finish the insides of my cards with a little bit of the pattern paper and also a border of the cardstock. I really like this finished look, and it also adds quite a lot of thickness and sturdiness to the card. I have that same pattern for this layer, and you can see that even though it is a pattern, it does not contrast very much, so that background really reads as a neutral. And you can also see that I took one of the dies and cut out this section so that I can add it to a layer that will be on the top. And that way I'm getting a little bit more use out of that pattern paper. Here's my layering pattern, and I am going to be using that black border throughout so that I can keep these from looking too busy. And I have this positioned a little bit lower than the center. So the inspiration for this card was a die that I found recently that created a prize ribbon, and I saw it when I was doing a different thing, and I thought I could go back and look for it and find it, and I never could, and I was so sad. So I figured I'll just make my own. And so I'm going to bring in these 3 little banner shapes, and I want to create a full effect similar to what you would find if you had a real prize ribbon. And so my center one is going to be straight, and I'll bring in the other 2 a little bit higher and at an angle. And so this would go on the back of a prize ribbon. And so I'll just add that first so that we can layer from the bottom up. Putting that so that I have room for my first shape. And similar to a prize ribbon, I would have something scalloped around the edge. So I just picked this scallop die and I cut a gold mirror cardstock. And now you can see when I position that, it will go above the top of our layering pattern. And then I will top it with more of that pattern that I cut from underneath and more of the black cardstock. And so that is just going to go right in the middle. I mentioned that large sentiment, and so this was one of the stickers. When I'm adding these 2 layers, I do put them on cardstock first and cut them back out so that I don't have any lumps appearing. But you see now how that looks right in the middle. And then there's one last detail. One of the little sentiment strips can go right here. And I think that is a perfectly layered faux prize ribbon. And so that's going to be card number 1. For the second card, I'm going to use the Creepin' It Real collection from Photo Play Paper. I will, of course, be using my offcuts, that sticker sheet, and then also one of the cut-apart images from this collection that I'm using as an extra large sentiment. Just like that first card, I do want to finish the inside. And I'll add that same pattern to the top. I love having this double border for these cards. It really helps to brighten that up using the white as a base and then adding the black cardstock to the top. So now what I want to do is begin to add a die cut. Now I don't have one that would reach the full height of this card, so I just cut two and I cut it and paired them together so that I could stretch the amount of space that I want to cover. This is going to go underneath the layers. And then I'll top that off with this dot pattern. And so I'll have just a little bit of that candy corn showing on the top and the bottom. And once again, this dot on white background really helps to brighten this up. Here is that sentiment that I mentioned, and I did fussy cut this out of a larger image cut apart, and then I only left the orange border so that it's going to be a better fit for this size. Now, I mentioned that I have some of the stickers from that sticker sheet, so I'm going to take advantage of this one, but I don't want all of that to show. So I'm going to add this here right onto the back, and so that I can capture that between the layers. I also have a couple of die cut glitter stars, and so this is going to act as a little bit of extra detail. Remember, we're not using flowers, so I really want to kind of fill this space in. And so I'm going to also add this to the bottom. I cut this out again with the paper underneath, and I want to have it so that it goes a little bit in from the very edge. And then I'm going to add another star back here. And so I'm just kind of building this collage before I add it to the layers. Now you can see how that's going to look. I've got that too far over, so I can reposition it. I'm going to check one more time. So that everything fits within the borders. Before I add that, let's put on another layer of our pattern paper. And I just have this one cut with a coved edge, a coved corner rectangle with a stitching detail. And then I do want to add a little bit of hot glue just to the back of those stars, just so that I'm sure they're well secured. I'm putting that so that my label is straight and even there, and I'll press those other details in. And then one last detail for this one is just a little bat, and so what I'm trying to do is create a balance with these sticker stacks so that everything looks nice and even. So that is going to be card number 2. Before we get into the third card, let's go over the question of the day, shall we? Now, when I thought about this question, I thought it was going to be very easy and inspire a lot of fun responses. And so the question would be, what is your favorite Halloween song? And so I thought I would come up with all these great ideas. And honestly, I could only think of like 3. And one of them is questionably Halloween, but I thought Monster Mash and the theme from Ghostbusters and Thriller. And I thought, well, I could do better than that if I do a little Google search. So I went to the old clickety-clack and I found some lists that had a lot of songs that I would definitely not consider Halloween. And then so I thought, I'll look up a list for kids. And that will be a more fun selection and probably classics that we would all remember. And honestly, there were so many that I would not agree are appropriate for kids. I guess that makes me old. I haven't yelled at anybody to get off my lawn today, but I do have a few things set in my ways. And so that would be, I guess, music appropriate for children. If you have any other ideas, I am dying to hear them because I really struggled with that question and I did not think I would. So let me know in the comments, what is your favorite Halloween song? And now for our third and final card, I do have to get back into that little boo thing. This has turned out to be my favorite collection for this series, and I just love how bright and cheerful it is. Once again, using those scraps, using the sticker sheet, and using the image cut apart, a little fussy cutting gets me a really cool focal image for this. And so once again, of course, I do want to finish the inside. You love the contrast of that pink and the black cardstock, and that spider web is definitely reading as a neutral, so I can layer plenty of other things onto it and not get a busy look. Do have one layering pattern for the bottom. I just like this diagonal stripe. And I took my tag die and I cut 2 different sizes of 2 different patterns. And then I used my 1/2-inch punch to create some reinforcing dots. And I'm just using some of that scrap from the gold foil from our first card. And so I want to set these together in such a way that I'm creating a base for my focal image to land. So let's set that here, just at an angle. And then I have another sticker stack. I just picked a couple that I thought would look together as a focal image all together, starting with the fussy cut ghost from one of the journal cards and then layering on the different other details. I also want to include that star for this, and so I'll just tack that on to the back so that I get my positioning correct. And then once again, I do want to add a little hot glue to the back of that. And I would say that this challenge is conquered. I have made 3 sweet and simple cards with all of the layering that I love, but without using spacers and all the dimensional embellishments. And so these are going to be perfect for boo baskets or random act of kindness or any other way you would want to give a gift card or something like that, but make it a little bit more special and presentable. And I was able to go through quite a lot of the offcuts that we created during the series. So that is it for day 10. I sure do hope that you are enjoying these tutorials. If you did, don't forget to come back tomorrow for day 11. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe, and check the description for links. As always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.